YouTube? Welcome to episode number 5. I'm your boy 9. Let's keep it alive, man. Let's keep it going. Let's go right into it.
Underneath Rockwall County and parts of Dallas County lies a mystery that has been debated by historians and geologists for decades. The miles of seemingly neatly stacked, often buried stone that sometimes reach 40 feet in height are intriguing. The existence of the walls was first discovered in 1852 when 3 locals were digging a well. Over the years, other similar formations have been found in the area, either already exposed or similarly excavated across a roughly rectangular 20 square miles of Rockwall County. From the beginning, scientists have claimed that the feature is natural, such as when geologist Richard Burleson in 1874 stated that the exposed sections he examined were igneous occurrences. Similarly, after he viewed the formations in 1901, geologist Dr. Robert Hill classified them as clastic sand dikes, while in 1909, Sidney Page agreed with Hill and described the feature as a number of disconnected sandstone dikes. Of course, even experts can disagree, and when archaeologist Count Byron de Prorock examined a portion of the feature in 1925, he concluded it was man-made. Likewise, after architect John Lindsay studied the wall in 1996, he declared that evidence of a prehistoric structure built by man is mounting. Building on Lindsay's opinion, geologist James Shelton points to the fact that linteled portals and archways were documented along the walls, and openings on the wall that resembled windows or conduits for water have also been observed, as was a stone-lined passage that led to a vaulted chamber. A more recent analysis of a portion of the wall by forensic geologists in 2013 determined that the feature was made via fluid sand at depth rising up through fractures of the overlying hardened clay, and what looked like mortar between the stone blocks was actually sandy clay from the surrounding rock that had squeezed between the blocks. However, this potentially unknown ancient civilization could have used cast instead of cut stone, meaning a form of prehistoric cement was formed into blocks. After all, it is a well-known fact that other megalithic sites across the ancient world were similarly constructed of cast stone.
4-part series on cities that I found in linear alignment in the United States. I am showcasing linear alignments in the U.S. in this series. And for the purpose of this series, each part will be a snapshot of whatever longer alignment this represents, and complete in itself. When I was living in Oklahoma City several years ago, during the time I was waking up to all of this, I identified multiple linear alignments between cities when I was studying the map of North America. In this video, I'm going to look at an alignment that I found with larger cities instead of the ones with smaller cities I have looked at in detail in the previous 3 videos. And San Antonio, Texas is my starting point. My name is Michelle Gibson. San Antonio anchors the southwestern corner of the Texas Triangle, a megaregion which contains 4 of the state's largest cities. San Antonio and Austin are located close to each other. Then there's Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. I just wanted to show you where these 4 cities are with respect to the star tetrahedron that I found when I connected cities lining up in lines in North America, which I believe is the terminus of the Earth's grid system. The San Pedro Springs Park is located about 2 miles north of downtown San Antonio. We are told the first surveyor of San Antonio, Francis Giraud, defined the park's boundaries in 1851, and the city officially declared it a park in 1852, making it the oldest park in Texas. By 1856, the U.S. Camel Corps had camel stables in the park. The U.S. Camel Corps was said to have been an experiment tried by the Army in the 1850s with camels, deemed to be well suited for the desert conditions of the American Southwest and procured from overseas locations, but was ultimately discontinued for a variety of reasons, seemingly because of Civil War-related issues. I really wonder if the camels came from overseas or were originally in North America. The 1976 movie, Humps, was based on the U.S. Camel Corps. The Lone Star Brewery was the first mechanized brewery in Texas, said to have been built between 1895 and 1904, and founded by Anheuser-Busch magnate and German immigrant Adolphus Busch and a group of San Antonio businessmen, and said to have been designed by the same St. Louis architectural firm of E. Jungenfeld and Company, responsible for designing and building the Anheuser-Busch brewery facilities in St. Louis in the 1870s time period. Cone. Here is Centenary College's library, with this picture of the columns in front to give you a different perspective on their size, and College Hall on the Centenary campus. Shreveport was the location of the Trans-Mississippi Department of the Confederate Army, which I first heard about when I was doing some research around Albert Pike, an influential 33rd degree Freemason who was a senior officer of the Confederate Army who commanded this District of Indian Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater of the American Civil War, also known as Oklahoma, and makes me wonder what was really going on here. The Trans-Mississippi Theater of the Civil War covered everything west of the Mississippi River, as pictured here. We are told that over 200,000 men were engaged in the Trans-Mississippi Theater of War, and there were altogether 7 battles in Arkansas, New Mexico, Missouri, and Louisiana between 1862 and 1864. This area was also the heart of the ancient Washita Empire, with Monroe, Louisiana being the imperial seat. In the Battle of Pea Ridge in Arkansas in March of 1862, the Confederate Army was led by Major General Earl Van Dorn, the great-nephew of Andrew Jackson, who ultimately lost the battle to Union Brigadier General Samuel Curtis. This was the battle flag of General Van Dorn. The star and crescent symbolism has been identified with Islam, and what we are told is that this happened primarily with the emergence of the Ottoman Turks, and for one example of several national flags are depicted on the modern Turkish flag. I also read where the Egyptian hieroglyphs of a star and the crescent moon denote the Venus cycle from morning star to evening star. Why would stars and a crescent moon be on a Confederate general's battle flag? And why is theater, defined as a collaborative form of performing art that uses live performers, usually actors or actresses, to present the experience of a real or imagined event before a live audience in a specific place, like a stage, used as the word choice for an area or place in which important military events occur or are progressing? A theater can include the entirety of the airspace, land, and sea area that is or that may potentially become involved in war operations.
It's the United Nations States of America.
The United Nations States of America, UNSA, is a nation that formed after the apocalypse and replaced the United States of America. It was formed after the United States of America was scattered and cut off due to the apocalypse.
Echo, what apocalypse replaced the United States of America?
From 8books.com. A 20-megaton nuclear warhead was detonated high in the atmosphere above Kansas, blanketing most of the contiguous United States and parts of Canada and Mexico with an electromagnetic pulse that damaged nearly all microprocessors and electronic controls beyond repair.
Yo, what the fuck is she talking about, fam? Whoa.